हे एवरीवन, मैं हूं संस्कार एंड ये है द संस्कार शो। आज के एपिसोड में मैं बात कर रहा हूं रिया करुतुरी से, हु इज द को-फाउंडर ऑफ हूवू फ्रेश एंड वाज रिसेंटली ऑन शार्क टैंक इंडिया। इस एपिसोड में हम बात करेंगे हाउ शी बिल्ट हर बिजनेस। हम बात करेंगे द मीनिंग ऑफ बिल्डिंग अ सोशली रिस्पॉन्सिबल बिजनेस एंड मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली हम बात करेंगे उनकी जर्नी के बारे में। तो इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दो, वीडियो को लाइक कर दो एंड लेट्स शो द वीडियो इन 3, 2, 1। So Ria, what is the craziest or most unexpected thing that has happened to you since founding Hoovu Fresh?
The craziest thing that happened to us is probably Shark Tank. I mean, I think that would like being in a film studio and like having people on the street recognize us and stuff like that. I think that's definitely everything else that's happened. Like we've had, something explode. We've had, late nights, all of that we expected. This was completely out of the blue. So yeah.
And what impact has Shark Tank had on your business so far?
It's been great. I think it's brought in a lot of recognition for what we were already doing. So I think the team feels really good about it. Like, it's nice for them to go home and have people recognize what they do. I think it's brought a lot of love. I think especially from like older audiences who like maybe weren't digitally, like active before they saw us on TV and stuff like that. And I think it's just a platform to tell your story, right? And I think that's always a privilege, whether it's a podcast like this or whether it's Shark Tank or any other interviews we do. It's just about telling your story and getting it out there in front of people. So always a great privilege.
So I was saying that at the end of the day, Hoovu is a business, right? So how do you deal with the pressure of, managing both the social and financial objectives?
Honestly, I've never felt that to be in conflict with each other. I think that there's a saying, right? Like if you want to go like fast, you can go alone, but if you want to go far, you have to go together. Honestly, I find it hard to see a business really being able to scale or really being able to build a lasting impact if it's not adding value to everyone who's kind of in that ecosystem. Like if you're kind of cutting out the farmer or the middleman or the last mile vendor, at some point it's gonna kind of break apart. There's a reason that the supply chain exists in the way that it does today. I think our approach has always been come into the existing supply chain and add value to it. See, like flower processing is really what our strength is, right? Like making the flowers as good as possible and getting them to last as long as possible as well. That was actually a missing piece. It's not that someone else was doing it and now we're doing it better. Nobody was even doing it at all. So I think that is how we think about it. Like, like if our ladies who do the garlanding are happy and they are doing better in life, we as a company do better, right? Because they're able to bring more skill sets to the table. I'll give you an example. The second lady who joined us, the first lady who joined us, Vanaja, she's a garlanding lady. Like she has so much recall with all of our audience because like everyone's seen her for the last 4 years. She improved so much and she was able to get so much training that when we started Hyderabad, she actually moved to Hyderabad with her young son to set up the packing
Okay.
team there for us, right? Like her becoming stronger as a person, her having that financial freedom helped us as a company so much. Our second garlanding lady, Kalavati, like, and I can go on with this, right? Like she's a floor manager in Bangalore today, right? Like probably the loudest voice that you can hear from the celebration that we're doing today is her voice, right? So like every time someone in our company does better, like their kids get better educated. So many of our junior supervisors are the kids of our garlanding ladies, because they kind of see the company
Yeah.
growing and they bring in better people as well. So I don't think those things have ever been in conflict for either Yashoda or myself. And I think we're lucky to be in an industry that allows us to do both.
So it seems that you pay much attention to your, employees or rather your garlanding ladies as mentioned. So how do you measure your success? Do you measure it from the farmer's perspective or from, the customer experience?
I think for us, we're category creators, right? Like this category has never existed
Yeah.
before. So I think just to see this product out in the world to improve people's puja experience. Like we started because our mom, was searching for these puja flowers and she was so cranky when she started her puja because she was like, I don't even feel like doing puja or offering these flowers because they're so bad. So I think for us, it's all, the North Star metric has always been those 5 minutes of peace in your morning. If we can facilitate that better, right? And I think as new founders, when we started, we didn't even know what a team would involve. We didn't even know what the farmer supply chain would involve. But something that we realized early on is that I cannot go out and say I'm going to offer peace and gratitude to my customers if that is not the internal culture that we have as well. Which I think was a huge, like it didn't come to us intuitively. It was something that we really had to like wake up to and say if everyone in our team is stressed out all the time, if everyone in our team is like overworked, if they don't understand what we're trying to give our customers, they will not be able to give that experience, right? Because at the end of the day, the flowers are going from their hands to someone else's gods. So I think it all kind of comes together. But the one thing that we measure as success is if we can give that great puja experience to people every morning.
You mentioned that you're creating a new category, Rhea. So have you gotten some sort of pushback in your initial days?
I don't think there's been any pushback from customers or farmers. Honestly, I think they always understood the need for it. I think when you're creating a category, what happens is that the other things that you need, like your machinery, your
Hmm.
distribution partners, like your accounting firms everywhere, that's where you get a little bit of that friction. I wouldn't even say pushback because everyone's like, oh, it hasn't been done before. And therefore, that's synonymous with it cannot be done, right? Like I think now we're kind of past that bridge. Like now I think people get it. But when we started, and I would say like I want to build this machine or I want to do that, people just weren't willing to try it even, right? I know that Yashoda, my co-founder, she was actually like following up with Big Basket for almost a year and a half before they accepted us to their platform, and that's kind of the first like big uptick of growth we saw. That's because they were just like, we don't even have flowers in our like we don't know what codes to generate for flowers because we've never done it before. And it was really her perseverance that got us onto these platforms. And today, if you look at it, all the big players have the flower category, and it's just us in that
Hmm.
category. And that was because she really was behind them and was like, create the category and see what happens, right? So I think that was extremely powerful. But yeah, probably that's the only pushback we saw.
Right. What I feel is that most money is made when you are creating efficiency. So when Uber was not there, people felt like going to the taxi stand, getting a taxi is efficient, right? But when Uber came, it all changed. So with
That,
Hoovu also, I feel that now people are gonna change their habits and this is gonna become a everyday thing. So what do you feel about the impact that you are creating?
I don't know if efficiency is the primary thing that we're going after. I think it's more about these traditions have been so beautiful for so long. But at the same time, they've been kind of ignored, right? It's just kind of like faded into people's
Hmm.
background of their lives. I think for us, we're kind of bringing a fresh, I would almost say it's the opposite of efficiency, right? Like operationally, of course, you have to have efficiency. Like internally, you have to do that. But the experience that we're delivering is not one of efficiency. Of course, you're getting doorstep delivery. You're getting the convenience of like sanitized flowers, better pricing, all of that stuff.
Right.
But actually, what we're giving you is that moment to slow down in the day, right? Like instead of zooming past your day because it's the most efficient way to do it, your puja is really about taking a moment, whether it's your puja or meditation or you go for a run or whatever it is. Like that slot of your life is about being inefficient and saying I'm just going to take a moment to like spend it with myself and some meaning that means a lot to me, right? So I think that's what we're giving people, not like the faster Uber model type of thing. But the way we give them a more peaceful experience, of course, involves all of the back end efficiency you need to have.
So are you big on puja or rather were you big on puja before starting Hoovu Fresh?
No, not at all. Actually, I'm not someone who does puja every day, like even now. I will always have some flowers on my table, but usually that's for work or like just because it's beautiful to have around. My family does a lot of puja, so I've grown up seeing my mom do puja every single day, my grandmother do puja, my father like every week and stuff like that. So I think that was always there in the environment, but never as a personal thing. I think the first time I actually like started offering flowers to God was when I was in college, and it wasn't even for me particularly a religious thing. It was more like nostalgic because I used to have these small idols, and
Okay.
every time I used to see the flowers, I used to think of my mom and my grandmom. So I used to be like, they'll be happy if I put the flowers on the god. So it would be like one small flower that I picked on the way somewhere. And it was mostly to send them a picture and be like, I'm okay, like, what's up, you know? But yeah.
Awesome. So, what has been one of your, or what has been rather your biggest failure so far as a founder and CEO? Or
Mhm.
has there been any in the first place?
Mhm. Of course, everyone has failures. I'm actually not CEO, I'm CTO. My sister Yashoda is the CEO.
Okay.
What has been the biggest failure so far? Honestly, we fail all the time. Like, we do a lot of experiments, so like sometimes they just don't work out. We don't see it particularly as a failure. We see it more as, okay, that experiment didn't work, so we like move on from that. Oh, I know what's my vehicle. So the first machine that I built to pack our flowers, it's still here. Like I can see it from my cabin every single day. It didn't end up working. So it was like it was the big first capital purchase that we had done, and I put a lot of work and time into it. It ran for about like 6 to 8 months, I think, but we always had a lot of trouble with it, and like it just wasn't an easy machine to run. And then it became clear that this was not going to be something that was sustainable for us to do, and it was actually adding more complexity rather than removing it. So that was obviously very hard, because so many people like, you can't build a machine for flowers, and then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, but I tried and it like actually didn't work. But it was great, right? Like, it taught me everything that we needed to know for the next machine. So currently we have 5 new machines, and those have been working really well, right? Of course, those also have failure points, and I think the next generation that we do will be even better. But yeah, it's been until you do it, you kind of don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. So yeah.
Also, what do you feel has been so far the most challenging thing for you? Like when you started, you felt that this could be an easy ride, but so far throughout your 4 years, you realized that this is something which is a very big pain point.
I don't think we ever thought it was going to be easy. I'll tell you how we started also. We started Valentine's Day 2019. So from day one, we had operations going. And then the first year, we used to do end to end subscriptions. So we used to actually have our deliveries with our own delivery fleet go out between 4 to 6 a.m. And everyone in the world, all of our customers used to have our personal numbers, mine and Yashoda's. So like at 5:15 we used to get a call being like, hey, my flowers haven't come yet. And then 5:17 one more call being like, oh yeah, they've come, they're really nice today. So like that was what we were used to. And in the beginning we used to go to the flower markets. Like personally, we used to go to the flower markets like at least once a week, and those open at like 3 a.m and stuff like that, right? So it was pretty insane and like intense from day one. I think honestly for us it was the other way around. Like, as first time founders, we didn't know that work could be easy, or that building a
Hmm.
business can be easy. I think now like Techstars was a realization. We went through an accelerator program called Techstars. That was a realization where we were like, why are we doing our own deliveries? We can use other partners because of our shelf life and do it. Because everyone was like, why are you guys awake at 5 a.m every day in the morning? You should be simplifying your life. And we were like, oh yeah, that's true. So we did that. And even today, like, everyone keeps telling us you're solving the hardest problem, like perishables, flowers, extremely, like, there's so many different factors that go in there. And we were like, yeah, but life is hard, like, you have to work hard and you have to. But I think now we're thinking about what else can we do that makes it easier. Like, of course, you have to solve the hard problem, but when you're doing that, you can use that as a vehicle to also push other, easier things to solve for. So I think we came the other way around to that.
Do you feel that entrepreneurship is for everyone?
Is entrepreneurship for everyone? I honestly, anytime I get questions like this, I feel like I'm too young to know. My entire professional life has been just Hoovu, which has been 4 years, right? To make a judgment call on what's right for everyone, I don't think I could do it. I personally feel like it could be for everyone, because if you asked me in college, I wanted to be a journalist in college, or I want to be a computer scientist, right? Like, if you'd ask me, can you be an entrepreneur? I'd be like, no way. Like, I'm an introvert. Like, I like being an individual contributor more than I like being a manager, right? So
Hmm.
I would say all of these things together would not suit me to be an entrepreneur. But now that I am, I can't imagine my life any other way. I kind of think I would get bored in any other job, because in this job I get to use every single aspect of my brain. So I think a lot of people think it's not for them, and it could be, but also yeah, it's like too broad a question, right? Like I don't know if it could be.
I think it's just about the leap of faith and just going ahead with it.
I think, yeah, like we keep saying that, the first step is half the journey. Like I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are kind of afraid to take that first step sometimes. Um, but also, like, sometimes it's not for every. I have met people who've been like, I used to be an entrepreneur and I was good at it, or like the company didn't do so well, or whatever it was, and now I'm doing something else and I'm happier and I'm more successful doing that, right? Like I think just
Hmm.
different people
Interesting.
enjoy and optimize for different things.